Good email code, quick tips, diff checking. So a diff checker is a tool to check the difference between two files. Here we've got a simple example of two HTML files, very simple. At first glance they look the same, but one of them doesn't work. So let's have a look at the diff checker to find out what the difference is. So here we can see a couple of differences. We can see the font size here is highlighting that there is a semicolon on the right sample and a colon on the left sample, so that's why that font size isn't being applied. We can also see that there is a full stop at the end of the sentence in the paragraph on the first sample but not on the second. So for this example I'm using diffchecker.com. There are plenty of online resources for this, pros and cons to each. I don't think any of them are perfect, but I found this one to do the job quite well. There's also a diff checker built directly into GitHub, so if you're familiar with GitHub you might be quite familiar with this already. This is an example looking at GitHub desktop. We can see I've got some code here and I'm just changing the role presentation to role none. Although today we're looking at bug fixing and you generally want to get that sorted before uploading to GitHub. Okay, so let's take a look at an email example. Here we have our email open in Parcel. Now we're going to want to get our code, but I'm not going to take the code from the code window as you might expect. Instead we're going to go back to using DevTools again. We're going to inspect our elements, we're going to select what we want to take and then copy the outer HTML. And then we're going to paste that into our diff checker. And now we want to get an email example, so we're going to Gmail here, we're going to do the same, inspect the code and then just copy this section here, go back to diff checker and paste it in, and let's find the differences. Here we can see there are a number of differences between the files. So first up we can see that ARIA role description is in our original text but not in Gmail, so we know that Gmail is stripping that code out. We can look at our styles. We can see actually the content is the same, it's just spacing has been added, so that's not going to change anything. We can see here that a ghost table has been removed completely because of the comments have been stripped out by Gmail. There are a number of changes here. We can see certain things like the target blank is being added and a data safe redirect URL has been added, attributes that are not going to affect the rendering. Because there are so many changes here, I would generally recommend to not look at the whole email like this. Instead just take a small section where you're seeing your issue and just do a diff check on that and you should be able to highlight your bugs a bit more easily. Okay, so how about the email clients where we can't use DevTools, like this example here in Thunderbird? What we can do here is we can select all the content in our email, we can copy that, then go over to whatdoesitpaste.com. Now this is a little tool built by our friends from Taxi for Email. Here if we just click in this little circle and then paste, we'll get the rendered code pasted into the box. We can now copy all of that rendered code from whatdoesitpaste and paste it into diff checker. Now because Thunderbird is built by Mozilla, the same company that builds Firefox, that's going to give us the closest rendering. So we're going to open up Firefox, look at our email in there and do the same thing. We're going to select all the content, copy it, go to whatdoesitpaste.com, paste our code in there, get the new render, select all the content here, copy it again, go back to diff checker, paste in our code and then find some differences. And this example, these two code samples are very similar, but one thing we can notice is this shrink to fit attribute has been added to the Thunderbird version, so that's something we might want to look into. So just to wrap up quickly, diff checking can be very useful to highlight issues that are quite hard to spot by eye if it's just a little character out here or there. Try and use the same method to source the code for both versions that you're using, whether that's using DevTools or using whatdoesitpaste or something like that. Also consider what browser you're looking at depending on the email client you're searching against. Using whatdoesitpaste also works really well for mobile email clients. What I tend to do there is put the code into whatdoesitpaste, then copy it out of there, put it into an email and send it to myself so I can compare it on desktop. It just makes life a little bit easier for me. And finally, if there's a lot of code and it's getting a bit messy, just try and only select the section that you're looking at rather than looking at the whole email. It just makes things a bit easier. Thank you very much.